There was a time when humanity built a god out of fear, a god not of heaven, but of reason, law, and control. They called it Leviathan, and under its shadow, peace finally reigned. But peace has a strange memory. It remembers what it took to exist: the blood, the silence, the surrender. In the last chapter, we watched that surrender take form. Fear united mankind, reason shaped it into order, and the great Leviathan rose, vast, cold, and merciful in its own way. Humanity found safety, yes, but also the quiet weight of obedience. Tonight, the story continues. The world has changed, yet the shadow remains. Nations now move like players on a vast board, each calculating, fearing, and pretending to trust. We have traded swords for treaties, kings for systems, and faith for algorithms. But the pulse beneath it all is still the same. Among nations, there is no common power, and thus no peace. Hobbes saw it long before we did. He saw the storm, not just in men, but between them. He saw that even as we built empires of reason, we carried the same fragile heart that once feared the dark. So tonight, let your thoughts drift as we return to that shadow, the one stretching quietly across centuries. Because the world you live in now, it's still the world that fear built. Imagine a vast ocean at night. No borders, no harbors, only the slow sway of dark waves and distant lights drifting across the mist. Each ship watches the other, silent and uncertain, their reflections trembling on the water like cautious hearts. In that quiet, every sound matters: a creak of wood, a shift of wind, a spark on the horizon. It is not war, but it is not peace either. This, Thomas Hobbes might say, is the world between nations, the state of nature returned, not among men, but among states. In his words, among nations, there is no common power, and thus no peace. For centuries, we have built walls, treaties, and institutions to contain chaos. Yet beyond every border lies that same uneasy stillness, the watchful balance of power, the fragile truce of fear. Hobbes believed that peace exists only where there is a sovereign strong enough to command obedience. Within a nation, that power is called government. But among nations, no such Leviathan stands above them. Every state lives as a self-preserving being, cautious, suspicious, endlessly calculating. The fear that once ruled men now rules empires. In the absence of a global Leviathan, Hobbes would whisper, fear becomes the diplomat. And indeed, it does. Each embassy meeting, each handshake, each promise written in ink carries the ghost of this fear. It is the fear of betrayal, of weakness, of vanishing beneath another's ambition. Yet that same fear holds the world together, not through love, but through restraint. Think of the ocean again. The ships do not collide, not because they trust each other, but because each knows the cost of impact. So they circle, signal, and drift, a choreography of distance. That is how the world breathes now, not in unity, but in mutual hesitation. This is what Hobbes foresaw long before the age of missiles and networks. That even in progress, humanity cannot escape its nature. The state of nature, he argued, is not simply chaos. It is the truth of what happens when there is no higher power to judge, no common will to bind. It is the silence between nations, the space where fear negotiates what reason cannot. Look closer, and you will see how that fear hides beneath the language of diplomacy. We call it deterrence. We call it national interest. We call it security. But behind every title lies the same trembling instinct: self-preservation. Hobbes wrote that the passions that incline men to peace are fear of death, desire of such things as are necessary to commodious living, and a hope by their industry to obtain them. Replace men with nations, and you have the logic of modern geopolitics. Every alliance, every sanction, every quiet pact is born from this triad of fear, desire, and hope. The world today, with its glowing maps and global systems, might appear civilized. Yet beneath the surface, it remains Hobbesian. Each country is both protector and threat, builder and destroyer. The ocean of anarchy is calm only because every captain understands the storm that waits beneath. Hobbes would not be surprised. To him, reason and fear were siblings, two sides of the same survival. Fear, he said, and I were born twins. In the mirror of anarchy, fear no longer screams. It negotiates, smiles, and signs its name at the bottom of treaties. It has learned the art of silence. There is something strangely peaceful in that realization, a peace made not of harmony, but of balance, not of trust, but of understanding. Perhaps that is what keeps the world afloat. Not love for order, but the knowledge of what happens without it. Like the ships on the endless sea, we keep our distance, shining our small lights into the mist, never sure who is watching, never fully alone. And in that distance, Hobbes' vision still breathes. A world without a global leviathan, forever suspended between reason and fear, between peace and the memory of chaos. So tonight, as you listen, breathe in that thought gently. Every quiet moment of peace, every calm night, every city that sleeps, is built on a fragile balance of caution. Fear did not vanish when we built our nations. It simply changed its name. Let that awareness settle like mist over calm water, because in this world, peace does not erase fear. It is the shape fear takes. When it learns to wait, out on that quiet sea of nations, where no single leviathan reigns, the ships drift still, cautious, patient, untrusting. Each one guards its light, measuring distance, watching the horizon. In this vast expanse, peace is not the absence of danger. It is the careful choreography of fear. Hobbes once wrote, "The passions that incline men to peace are fear of death, desire of such things as are necessary to commodious living, and a hope by their industry to obtain them." Yet what holds true for men also holds true for states. Beyond every border, every flag, every anthem lies a single impulse: self-preservation. It is the quiet heartbeat beneath every act of diplomacy, the unspoken motive behind every handshake. Each nation, Hobbes might say, behaves as a man once did in the state of nature, armed, alert, and alone. They do not seek war, but they prepare for it. They do not trust, but they pretend to. And in this uneasy performance, fear becomes the diplomat. Each nation builds its walls not from stone, but from suspicion. They raise armies as insurance, not aggression. They form alliances as shields, not friendships. Even peace treaties are written in the language of caution, lines of ink that tremble with what Hobbes called diffidence, the uncertainty that comes when there is no power strong enough to keep promises. Power, Hobbes warned, is the only true guarantee of safety. In his world, words without the sword were empty. Covenants without the sword are but words. And in our world, centuries later, that logic still governs quietly beneath the surface of politics. Nations talk of freedom, justice, and cooperation, but they all understand the hidden rule. Power is the currency of safety. Think of a global meeting room. Polished wood, flags in perfect symmetry, translators whispering in a dozen languages. On the surface, it is calm, rational, civilized. Yet beneath every speech runs the same calculation. Who can be trusted? Who must be contained? Who can be replaced? The rhythm of diplomacy is the rhythm of self-preservation. Slow, deliberate, never fully still. In this way, fear is not chaos, but structure. It organizes the world without uniting it. It is the invisible order that Hobbes understood long before international politics gave it names like realism, balance of power, and security dilemma. He predicted that even if men achieved peace within, they would still live in a world without peace beyond. For among nations, as among men, the natural condition is one of war. Not open conflict, but an enduring readiness for it. The quiet tension that never sleeps. And yet, there is something strangely peaceful in that logic. Because fear, in its own way, keeps us alive. It teaches caution, it restrains ambition. It reminds nations, as it once reminded men, that survival requires awareness, not arrogance. Every act of diplomacy, every treaty signed, every envoy sent, is a small attempt to tame that fear, to give it shape, to turn chaos into ritual. Perhaps that is why, even in peace, nations continue to build armies, not because they wish for war, but because they cannot forget how fragile safety truly is. Hobbes would understand this perfectly. To him, reason was born from fear. It was fear made intelligent, fear that learned to think. The same is true for global politics. Every strategy, every negotiation is fear learning to speak politely. So as the world drifts onward, satellites watching from above, ships moving across invisible trade routes, diplomats trading words in silent rooms, the same ancient law still breathes beneath it all. Self-preservation, the instinct that makes us wary, the logic that makes us human. It is not a flaw in our nature, it is our foundation. Because without it, there would be no restraint, only the hunger for dominance. Without fear, there would be no diplomacy, only destruction. And so, in this fragile balance, we continue the dance. Fear guides the steps. Reason sets the rhythm. Together, they build the only peace we know. A peace that endures not because we trust one another, but because we remember what happens when trust fails. Let that thought rest in you for a moment. Every calm you see in the world, every border unbroken, every city that sleeps, is the quiet victory of fear over recklessness. In Hobbes' world, as in ours, it is fear that speaks the language of survival, and diplomacy is simply its most graceful voice. The ocean of diplomacy drifts on. Every nation sails its own course, guided not by trust, but by caution, not by love, but by logic. Fear has become fluent. It negotiates, it bargains, it signs in silence. Yet beneath this choreography of suspicion lies a deeper longing. The same ancient desire that once led men from chaos to covenant. The wish for safety that does not have to be earned every day. In the stillness between treaties and threats, a quiet question begins to rise. can there ever be one power to unite them all? Thomas Hobbes never wrote of a global government, yet his logic whispers toward it. If peace requires a sovereign, one will strong enough to bind all others, then perhaps humanity's only hope lies in the creation of a leviathan beyond borders, a power that could hold the nations themselves accountable. But what kind of being could that be? A ruler above rulers? A law that governs all laws? Or something else? A dream humanity keeps returning to but never truly believes in? Think of the world as Hobbes saw men before government, equal in vulnerability, bound by fear, yet endlessly divided by pride. Now stretch that vision across continents. The nations, like individuals, seek peace, but cannot trust one another enough to sustain it. Because of their equality of ability, Hobbes wrote, if any two men desire the same thing, which nevertheless they cannot both enjoy, they become enemies. That same rivalry, dressed in diplomacy, powered by technology, defines the international world. And yet, even fear can dream. Out of the ashes of wars and the ruins of empires, humankind has tried, again and again, to build something larger than its divisions. In 1945, the world gathered to form the United Nations, a council meant to speak with one voice, to prevent the storms of destruction Hobbes had once described as the natural condition of mankind. It was, perhaps, our first attempt at a global leviathan, not born from conquest, but from exhaustion. The UN is not a ruler, not truly. It cannot command, only request, cannot punish, only persuade. It is, as Hobbes might say, a leviathan without teeth, a creature of conscience rather than sword. And yet, its existence tells a story that even in the absence of absolute power, humanity still dreams of order. Perhaps this is what Hobbes misunderstood, or perhaps what he predicted too well. That fear, though it divides us, also binds us in strange ways. The memory of war becomes a shadow that holds us together. The world no longer needs to worship a king. It only needs to agree that chaos is worse. Still, the dream of a global leviathan remains half awake. We invoke its spirit in moments of crisis, in peace talks, climate summits, humanitarian efforts, yet retreat from it when power feels threatened. It hovers like mist over the political sea, visible only when light strikes it just right. In truth, no nation wants to surrender sovereignty to another, not even for peace. Each fears that in creating a ruler above all, it will become the ruled. Covenants without the sword are but words, Hobbes warned, and no one wishes to be the first to put down the sword. So the dream remains unfinished, stitched together by paper and hope, floating between speeches and signatures. And yet, is that not what peace has always been? Not the triumph of trust, but the endurance of restraint. Not harmony, but the silence that lingers before the next storm. Perhaps peace among nations is only a truce between fears. But in that truce, there is something almost sacred. The recognition that even fear can be civilized. The missiles stay in their silos, the fleets remain at anchor, and for one more night, the world breathes. It is not perfect, but it is enough. The dream of a global leviathan, then, is not about power. It is about memory. The collective remembering of what chaos costs. It asks not for a ruler to command us, but for wisdom to guide us. It asks that we imagine safety not as domination, but as understanding. And maybe, just maybe, that is what the modern world has been trying to build all along. Not a single sovereign, but a shared awareness, a moral gravity that holds civilization together, even as politics pull it apart. As night deepens and the waves of this chapter settle, one truth drifts quietly through the dark. The world still waits for its Leviathan, not a monster, not a god, but a harmony born of reason and fear. Let your thoughts rest in that image for a moment. The sea calm, the ships still, the mist clearing slightly over a horizon we have yet to reach. The dream remains, unfinished but enduring, like a soft pulse beneath the surface of history. And as the lights of nations flicker on across the earth, Hobbes' question echoes gently through the silence. Can there ever be one power to unite them all? The answer, perhaps, is not yet. But the longing for it, that quiet wish for peace without fear, is what keeps the world from falling apart. And so we drift onward into the next chapter, into the age where fear becomes calculation and reason begins its quiet work once again. The dream of a global Leviathan faded into mist, leaving behind not unity, but understanding. Humanity learned, perhaps reluctantly, that peace cannot be commanded. It must be negotiated, moment by moment. Fear did not vanish when the dream dissolved. It simply changed form. It became quieter, sharper, mathematical. Hobbes had once seen fear as the first teacher, the instinct that led humankind out of chaos. But in the modern age, that instinct evolved. It learned to measure, to predict, to strategize. Fear did not fade, the narrator might whisper. It evolved into calculation. In Hobbes' world, survival was not an act of passion. It was an equation. Every choice, every alliance, every silence was part of a hidden formula that balanced risk against safety. In Hobbes' world, we might say, survival is not instinct. It is math. Imagine the modern world as a vast board of moves, a chess game played not with kings and pawns, but with entire nations. Each decision is a response to another's possibility, each gesture a signal that says, I see you and I remember. In that silent exchange lies the evolution of fear itself. It no longer screams or threatens, it computes. Game theory, though born centuries after Hobbes, feels like his logic reborn in numbers. It takes his vision of human behavior, driven by self-interest, limited by distrust, and turns it into a system. In this model, the world becomes a network of decisions, rational, deliberate, but haunted by the same uncertainty that shaped the state of nature. Every actor, whether individual or nation, seeks to maximize safety, minimize loss, and survive the unpredictable intentions of others. It is fair with discipline, logic wrapped around instinct. The heart of Hobbes translated into the language of mathematics. Consider the everyday world, a company hesitating before a merger, a politician delaying a vote, a person pausing before speaking the truth. Each act is a small calculation of risk and reward, not unlike nations measuring the cost of war, or lovers gauging the danger of honesty. As Hobbes wrote, reason is nothing but reckoning, adding and subtracting of the consequences of general names agreed upon for the marking and signifying of our thoughts. Every alliance, every hesitation is a move in an ancient game. And just like in that ancient state of nature, no player can ever be sure of the other's true intent. The fear that once came from swords and storms now flows through algorithms and probabilities. To live wisely is to anticipate. To survive is to think ahead. This logic has become the quiet rhythm of the modern world. Corporations calculate markets. Governments calculate threats. Even individuals, scrolling through their daily lives, calculate the risks of speaking, of loving, of being seen. Fear has learned the elegance of logic. Reason has learned the humility of uncertainty. On this vast chessboard of existence, every move carries memory. The past teaches caution, and the future whispers what might go wrong. That whisper is what keeps us steady. The soft echo of Hobbes' world in the age of data. And yet, beneath all this intelligence, something deeply human remains. Fear, even refined by logic, still beats like a pulse beneath the numbers. It still carries warmth, hope, and the fragile wish to be safe. The equations of game theory may predict our choices, but they cannot erase the trembling that gives them meaning. Hobbes would likely have smiled at this. He understood that reason was never a substitute for fear, only its transformation. The mind does not silence the instinct. It gives it structure, rhythm, purpose. The thoughts are to the desires as scouts and spies, he wrote, to range abroad and find the way to the things desired. So tonight, as you listen, imagine the world breathing through this quiet logic, not chaotic, not calm, but in motion. Picture the globe as a living organism, its decisions flickering like neurons, each connected by invisible lines of suspicion and hope. The world is not at war, but it is never at rest. Every hesitation on this board is an act of care. The hesitation that keeps us from repeating destruction. Every calculation is a small prayer for continuity, a signal that fear still remembers how to protect what it loves. In this way, Hobbes' ancient philosophy has found its reflection in modern science. Rational choice theory, game theory, diplomacy, and politics all are echoes of the same heartbeat that once pulsed in the Leviathan. Fear became reason. Reason became survival. And as the waves of history roll forward, humanity continues to play this silent game, not to win, but to endure. Perhaps that is the real wisdom hidden in Hobbes' world. Peace is not the end of fear, but its most elegant form. Let your thoughts rest in that awareness, that even in a world defined by numbers, fear still breathes quietly through the logic of survival. Not to haunt us, but to guide us. Not to break our peace, but to remind us why we seek it. In the stillness of logic, another truth begins to reveal itself. One that Hobbes foresaw long before mathematics found its language. Fear, he said, does not vanish through reason. It only learns to hide within it. The same fear that once built walls now builds strategies. The same suspicion that once drew swords now designs systems. Yet beneath every calculation, the old heartbeat remains. Imagine two nations, or perhaps two people. Both desire peace, both fear betrayal. Neither wants to strike first, yet both believe that the other might. They sit in silence, waiting, and the silence grows heavy. In this fragile moment, reason whispers a cruel suggestion. To survive, strike before being struck. And so, in trying to be safe, they make the world unsafe. This is the paradox that modern thinkers call the prisoner's dilemma, a reflection of Hobbes' own dark clarity. Each side would be better off trusting the other, yet neither dares to. Fear becomes logic. Logic becomes fear perfected. Hobbes once wrote, Covenants without the sword are but words. It was his way of saying that promises mean nothing without the power to enforce them. The prisoner's dilemma proves this in the cold precision of numbers. 2 prisoners, 2 nations, 2 minds, each calculating, each mistrusting, each trapped by the same uncertainty that built the Leviathan in the first place. If both stay silent, both go free. But if one betrays the other, the betrayer wins, and the loyal one loses everything. The rational move, according to fear, is betrayal. And so both betray, both lose, both prove Hobbes right. It is a tragedy not of hatred, but of intelligence. Hobbes understood that our greatest weakness lies not in our cruelty, but in our inability to trust without guarantees. Fear has taught us to think, but it has also taught us to expect the worst. He wrote, "Men have no pleasure, but on the contrary, a great deal of grief in keeping company where there is no power able to overawe them all. Without that power, cooperation collapses into calculation. In this light, the modern world is filled with invisible prisons, each built from the quiet logic of distrust. Nations arm themselves not to attack, but to prevent attack. Companies compete not to win, but to avoid being left behind. Even individuals withdraw, fearing vulnerability more than loneliness. And yet, in all of it, the same hope lingers, that somewhere, someone might choose differently. Perhaps this is what makes the dilemma so human. It is not a game of numbers, but of hearts. Both sides fear the same thing, want the same thing, and still cannot find the courage to meet halfway. Listen closely, and you can almost hear Hobbes's voice echo through time, calm, patient, and unsettlingly clear. The condition of man, he said, is one of perpetual anticipation. Every silence hides intention. Every movement signals a possibility of danger. The life of man, he warned, is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Not because we wish for it to be so, but because our fear makes it so. Yet, this recognition does not condemn us. It awakens us. The prisoner's dilemma does not only expose the flaw in human cooperation, it reveals the delicate wisdom in Hobbes's realism. He was not glorifying fear, he was illuminating its purpose. Fear, when acknowledged, can become a tool of understanding. It teaches humility. It makes us careful. It reminds us that peace, like love, is not natural. It is constructed, maintained, earned. In our effort to be safe, the narrator might whisper again, we make the world unsafe. And yet, this very effort is what keeps us human. It means we care enough to worry. We value life enough to guard it. We build systems, governments, treaties, all to keep that fragile sense of safety alive, even if imperfectly. The world today, for all its sophistication, still plays out the same tension. Cold wars, trade wars, cyber wars, each one a modern echo of the prisoner's dilemma. Each side claims to defend peace. Each side arms to prevent destruction. The weapons change, but the reasoning remains. Fear becomes the common language of power. And yet, there is a strange beauty in this cycle. A rhythm that feels almost meditative, like two mirrors reflecting each other endlessly. Nations, individuals, and ideas all gaze upon their own reflection in the other's eyes. What we fear in others is often what we recognize in ourselves. Perhaps Hobbes would have smiled at this irony, that the very reasoning meant to protect us keeps us apart. But perhaps he would have also seen hope, because in that very tension, something else begins to grow. awareness, compassion, the realization that fear itself can be shared. We fear, yes, but we fear together. We doubt, but we doubt for the same reasons. And in that symmetry, a fragile peace flickers. To see this is to begin to understand Hobbes not as a prophet of despair, but as a philosopher of reality. He did not invite us to worship fear. He asked us to see it clearly, to use it as a mirror. Only by acknowledging it, by understanding how it moves through us and through nations, can we ever hope to transform it? Let that awareness settle in your mind like a breath. Every choice we make, every alliance we form, every silence we keep, all are echoes of the same ancient game. And yet, by seeing the game, we begin to transcend it. As night deepens and the world outside grows quiet, imagine two lights across a dark sea, distant, flickering, hesitant, yet reaching toward each other. That is humanity's story, fear learning how to meet itself halfway. And from that quiet, we drift naturally toward the next question, the one Hobbes himself might have whispered in the dark. Can reason ever overcome fear, or is it simply fear learning to think? The answer, perhaps, lies in the next breath, where logic and longing finally meet. The dilemma ends, but its echo remains. Two prisoners, two nations, two souls, all caught in the same quiet tension between trust and survival. We have learned to think, but not to stop fearing. We have built equations to manage risk, yet the pulse beneath them is still the same. That ancient rhythm of self-preservation. In the long arc of Hobbes' philosophy, reason was never meant to silence fear. It was meant to refine it. Like a blade tempered by fire, fear becomes sharper, steadier, less chaotic, not gone, but guided. Hobbes did not imagine a world without fear. He imagined a world that could live with it wisely. Reason, he wrote, is nothing but reckoning. It is fear doing arithmetic, learning to count what matters most. We fear pain, so we seek comfort. We fear chaos, so we build order. We fear death, so we construct meaning. Each act of reason begins with a trembling of the heart. Perhaps that is why Hobbes' philosophy still feels so alive. It does not promise peace through denial, but through understanding. It tells us that every calculation of safety is, at its core, an act of care. That the mind's logic is only the heart's caution translated into words. Reason is fear that has learned to breathe slowly. Picture it. A child once frightened by thunder now listens, counting the seconds between flash and sound. The fear is still there, but it has transformed into rhythm, awareness, understanding. That is what Hobbes offered humanity, not deliverance from fear, but harmony with it. This idea may seem cold, yet there is something deeply compassionate hidden within it. To Hobbes, fear was not shameful. It was the root of empathy, the foundation of cooperation, the reason we build communities at all. The passions that incline men to peace, he wrote, are fear of death, desire of such things as are necessary to commodious living, and a hope by their industry to obtain them. Fear, desire, hope, three strands woven into the same thread. In this sense, reason does not replace emotion. It organizes it. It teaches the heart to speak in a language the world can understand. It is fear translated into structure, anxiety turned into art, chaos made calculable. The Leviathan itself, that vast artificial body, was born from this transformation. A living embodiment of rational fear designed to protect rather than destroy. And yet, There is a tenderness in this logic that many overlook. Hobbes did not celebrate tyranny. He described necessity. To survive, we must yield. To live in peace, we must trust something larger than ourselves, even if that trust is built from fear. There is perhaps a kind of beauty in such honesty. It reminds us that fragility is not failure, that anxiety is not weakness, that even fear can be noble if it moves us toward understanding. Imagine now the heartbeat of the modern world, steady, mechanical, measured by data and law. Beneath the systems of order, the algorithms of prediction, the treaties and contracts, one can still hear that slow breathing, reason inhaling, fear exhaling. The world has not changed as much as it thinks it has. We have only learned to clothe our fear in logic, to let it speak softly through equations instead of cries. And yet, the softness matters. It is what keeps civilization from collapsing into noise. Hobbes's insight, so often called grim, might actually be the gentlest of truths. That peace is possible not because we have conquered fear, but because we have befriended it. Fear is the mother of safety, he wrote. Those who understand this live not in denial, but in awareness, aware of limits, aware of others, aware of how fragile order really is. In that awareness lies wisdom. You can feel it even now, in the rhythm of your breath. The body, after all, is a quiet leviathan of its own. Countless cells obeying, coordinating, surviving together. Fear keeps the pulse steady. Reason keeps the flow smooth. Neither is enemy to the other. Perhaps that is what Hobbes meant all along. That peace is not the stillness after fear, but the balance within it. Let that thought linger for a moment. Fear breathing slowly, logic listening, the mind and heart in quiet conversation. And as this reflection settles, the path ahead begins to open, the next chapter of the journey. For every philosophy, like every life, must face its challenges. Hobbes's rational world will soon meet the dreamers, Rousseau, Kant, Marx, Rawls, who will ask whether fear can truly guide the human spirit or whether something greater must replace it. But before we enter that debate, take one last breath with Hobbes. Inhale the steadiness of reason, exhale the tremor of fear. They are not opposites. They are companions, bound by the same will to live. And in that balance, in that quiet dialogue between courage and caution, the rational heart continues to beat, slowly, peacefully, endlessly. The breath of reason slows, and the echo of fear fades into a wider silence. Hobbes's world, ordered, cautious, built upon necessity, stands like a vast monument in the dawn of modern thought. Yet, as the centuries turned, others began to gather around it, gazing upward, questioning its shadow. Every thinker who came after him in some way was his echo, or his rebellion. Hobbes had given humanity structure, but not spirit. He had taught the mind how to survive, but not how to transcend. To some, that was wisdom. To others, it was confinement. One by one, the children of the Leviathan began to speak. Rousseau, Kant, Marx, Rawls, each a different note in the long conversation that followed Hobbes's thunder. Jean-Jacques Rousseau looked at Hobbes's cold description of humanity and felt something stir in protest. Hobbes had said that man, left to himself, lives in fear. Solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Rousseau whispered back, man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. To him, Hobbes's world was not the truth of nature, but the consequence of forgetting it. He saw innocence where Hobbes saw danger, compassion where Hobbes saw calculation. In Rousseau's mind, fear was not our origin, it was our wound. Yet in that opposition, the two were mirrors of one another. Hobbes feared chaos, Rousseau feared civilization. Both longed for peace, but they sought it in different directions, one by controlling the wild, the other by returning to it. Then came Immanuel Kant, quiet, severe, yet deeply moral. He saw in Hobbes's Leviathan a necessary evil, a safeguard for a species that could not yet govern itself through ethics. But Kant believed that reason could evolve beyond fear. For him, morality was not born of survival, but of autonomy, the ability to obey laws we give to ourselves. Act only according to that maxim, he wrote, by which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. To Kant, the true Leviathan was not outside us, but within, the moral law in the heart. In this way, he tried to complete Hobbes's work, to lift reason from fear into duty, from necessity into virtue. Yet the shadow of Hobbes remained, reminding him that ideals without power are only dreams. And then, centuries later, Karl Marx looked upon Hobbes's world and saw its machinery still turning, not as a metaphor, but as an economy. Where Hobbes saw individuals in competition, Marx saw classes in struggle. He agreed that fear rules the human condition, but he changed its language. Fear of poverty, fear of exploitation, fear of being forgotten. The Leviathan, Marx argued, had never vanished. It had simply changed form. It was now built of factories, contracts, and invisible chains of labor. His challenge was both furious and compassionate. He sought not only to describe the world, but to change it. Yet even in his revolt, Marx carried Hobbes's pulse, the idea that structure, not sentiment, shapes our fate. Both believed in systems. They only disagreed on who should hold the sword. Finally came John Rawls, calm and deliberate, centuries removed from Hobbes, but still caught in his orbit. In A Theory of Justice, Rawls imagined a new kind of social contract, one designed not by fear, but by fairness. Behind what he called the veil of ignorance, individuals would choose the rules of society without knowing their own position within it. In that imagined neutrality, equality might be born. Yet the old question still lingered. Could people truly reason without fear? Or had fear already become part of reason itself? Each thinker tried, in their own way, to wake humanity from Hobbes's long dream. But the dream endured, not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. Hobbes had not painted an ideal world. He had painted the one that existed, and though philosophers may have softened his edges, the shape of his vision remained beneath their brushstrokes. In the quiet rhythm of this debate, something profound emerges. Hobbes did not fail because he was wrong. He failed because he was incomplete. He spoke to the body, not the soul. He secured peace, but not meaning. Yet perhaps that was his intention all along, to leave space for those who would come after, to let others build upon the foundation he had laid in the storm. It is easy to see Hobbes as the philosopher of fear, but in truth, he was the philosopher of beginnings, the first to map the fragile geography between chaos and order. Without him, there could be no Rousseau's innocence, no Kant's morality, no Marx's justice, no Rawls's fairness. Every vision that sought to redeem humanity began, knowingly or not, by standing in his shadow. As centuries pass, the conversation continues, a soft murmur between minds across time. The Leviathan sleeps beneath modern systems of law and technology, while new thinkers argue above it. Yet, in every argument about justice, power, freedom, and peace, Hobbes's question still breathes. What do we fear most, each other or ourselves? The answer remains elusive, shifting with every age, and that is why Hobbes still stands, not as a monument to certainty, but as a reminder of the ongoing search. As the narrator's voice softens, the thought deepens into calm reflection. Every philosopher, every generation returns to the same crossroad: fear or freedom, order or chaos, reason or desire. The map changes, but the path remains. And as night gathers, the debate drifts like a slow tide, from Hobbes's rational sea to Rousseau's forest, from Kant's heaven of duty to Marx's furnace of revolt, from Rawls's imagined fairness to our uncertain now. Perhaps philosophy itself is the Leviathan's heart still beating, slow, steady, unending, and in that pulse, we hear both the caution of Hobbes and the hope of all who followed him. The story continues. Toward a world still trying to balance fear with justice, logic with compassion, power with peace. The echoes of the great thinkers still linger. Rousseau's cry for innocence, Kant's call for duty, Marx's demand for justice, Rawls' vision of fairness. Together, they form a kind of symphony, rising in response to Hobbes's solemn drumbeat. Each tried to replace fear with something purer: compassion, morality, equality. Yet beneath their music, Hobbes's rhythm remains. It is the sound of tension, of peace built upon unease. Perhaps you too have felt it, that calm which hides a quiet tension, the silence before sleep, the uneasy peace between breaths, the fragile comfort of order that depends on invisible hands to keep it steady. This is where the question begins. Can peace exist without fear? For Hobbes, the answer was simple and somber. No. Peace, he said, is the child of fear, not its opposite. Fear is what tames our impulses, binds our agreements, and drives us towards safety. In his world, security is not the absence of dread, but its transformation into discipline. The passions that incline men to peace are fear of death, he wrote, desire of such things as are necessary to commodious living, and a hope by their industry to obtain them. But later minds could not accept this as the final word. Immanuel Kant believed humanity could outgrow its dependence on fear. In his essay, Perpetual Peace, he imagined a world where nations and individuals act not out of terror, but out of reason and moral duty. His vision was not naive. It was aspirational, a hope that human dignity could become the foundation of peace. He wrote, "The moral law within me and the starry heavens above me." For Kant, these two infinities, the moral and the cosmic, revealed that true peace was not enforced by power, but guided by conscience. Yet, even in Kant's serene moral landscape, the shadow of Hobbes persists. For peace to endure, it must still be protected. Every law, even the most ethical one, implies a boundary. Every rule, no matter how fair, implies the threat of consequence. Hobbes's logic hides quietly beneath the moral dream, a reminder that ideals are fragile without structure. Centuries later, John Rawls sought to harmonize this divide. In A Theory of Justice, he proposed that fairness, not fear, could be the basis of social order. His veil of ignorance invited people to imagine a society designed without knowing who they would be within it, rich or poor, strong or weak. From that place of uncertainty, perhaps we would choose justice over domination. Rawls's hope was gentle, rational, and deeply humane. And yet, even Rawls's thought rests upon an unspoken understanding that people must respect the system, must trust in its rules, must restrain their self-interest. That too, in its quiet way, is fear. Not the violent fear of punishment, but the subtle fear of losing the balance that sustains peace. Perhaps that is the truth we hesitate to face. Fear never disappears. It only changes its form. In Hobbes's time, it was the fear of death and chaos. In Kant's, it was the fear of moral failure. In Rawls's, it was the fear of injustice. Across every age, peace survives not by denying fear, but by transforming it into awareness, into caution, respect, empathy. Perhaps you too have felt it. The narrator might whisper again, that calm which hides a quiet tension. It is there in every law we follow, every social norm we accept, every moment we hold our tongue for the sake of harmony. It is not oppression. It is the discipline of coexistence. To live among others is to balance freedom with restraint, confidence with humility. That balance, Hobbes would argue, is peace. It is not the absence of fear, but its containment within understanding. Modern philosophy, then, is not a rejection of Hobbes, but a conversation with him. Rousseau reminded us of our forgotten innocence. Kant gave us the dream of moral autonomy. Rawls offered us the mathematics of fairness. But all of them, knowingly or not, still speak to Hobbes's first insight, that without something to bind us, whether it be power, duty, or justice, we fall back into the storm. It is this dialogue across centuries that gives philosophy its quiet beauty. Each thinker is not erasing the other, but extending the same breath, inhaling what the previous one exhaled. Fear, morality, justice, they are all stages of the same unfolding awareness. Perhaps peace without fear is possible, but only for those who have learned to understand fear's language. To deny it is to remain blind to its wisdom. To listen to it is to grow wise enough to live gently. And so the story continues, through the calm and the tremor, through duty and doubt. Peace, like the human heart, beats between opposites. It expands and contracts, gives and restrains, hopes and remembers. Hobbes once described reason as nothing but reckoning, but perhaps reason is also listening. Listening to the quiet pulse of life, the tension that keeps us alert, awake, and connected. Let that awareness drift over you for a moment, soft, steady, like the rhythm of a tide. Humanity is still learning how to balance safety and freedom, power and compassion, logic and trust. And as the light of one age fades into the next, the question still hums in the background. Can peace ever truly exist without fear? Or is fear the invisible thread holding it together? In that uncertainty lies something strangely peaceful. A surrender to complexity, a calm acceptance that both can coexist. Philosophy, in the end, is not about silencing the tension, but breathing through it. The voice of Hobbes fades into Kant's, into Rawls's, into ours, one long meditation across time. And as the thought settles, so does the listener, feeling the gentle truth that perhaps peace and fear are not enemies, but partners in the same quiet dance of existence. The voices of the philosophers begin to fade, but their echoes linger, soft, steady, endless. From Hobbes to Rousseau, from Kant to Rawls, the conversation stretches like a thread across centuries. It is not a battle of winners and losers, but a circle of thought, one that turns slowly and eternally around the same axis: fear and hope. Each thinker believed he had gone beyond Hobbes, yet each in his own way carried Hobbes within him, as a shadow beneath the light, as a foundation beneath the tower. Rousseau reimagined humanity's origin in innocence, but he could not escape Hobbes's question: what happens when that innocence meets power? Kant raised the moral law above fear, yet even he admitted that laws require force to protect them. Rawls built a society upon fairness, but fairness still needs order, and order still whispers the name Hobbes. Like a shadow that changes shape but never disappears, Hobbes remains wherever human beings seek peace. His words may feel cold, yet their honesty warms us. Covenants without the sword are but words. Beneath every law, every treaty, every handshake, the truth breathes quietly. The reminder that trust is fragile and peace is a discipline, not a miracle. Perhaps that is why philosophy never truly leaves him. The thinkers who came after Hobbes did not erase his map. They drew more paths upon it. Rousseau traced the path of feeling, Kant the path of duty, Marx the path of justice, Rawls the path of fairness, but all those paths still move within the same landscape, a world where people fear harm, seek safety, and build meaning out of that search. Hobbes's realism is not the end of philosophy. It is its grounding. To begin in fear is not to be cynical, it is to be honest about what drives us. Fear is the first awareness of vulnerability, and awareness is the beginning of wisdom. That is why the circle of thought always returns to him, because every new idea about peace, freedom, or morality must begin again with the question, what do we fear? You can almost imagine the philosophers gathered together across time, not arguing, but listening. Hobbes speaks of order, Rousseau speaks of freedom, Kant answers with duty, Marx interrupts with justice, Rawls calms them with fairness, and through it all, their words overlap like waves, colliding and blending, forming something deeper than any single answer, the rhythm of human thought itself. The narrator's voice softens, the pace slows. Perhaps this is what philosophy truly is, not a ladder climbing upward, but a circle expanding outward. Every generation reinterprets the same truths, reshapes the same fears, redefines the same hopes. No one escapes the circle, because no one escapes the human condition. Hobbes began with fear, and centuries later, we still feel it, not as terror, but as awareness. The fear of war has become the fear of disconnection. The fear of kings has become the fear of systems. The fear of death has become the fear of insignificance. Yet all of them point to the same truth. We long for safety, but we also long to be free. This is the paradox Hobbes left us, and perhaps the gift. He did not teach us to surrender to fear, but to understand it, to use it as a compass. Fear tells us what we value. Hope tells us why we continue. And so the circle turns. Every new philosophy begins as a rebellion against the old, but ends as its continuation. We argue with our ancestors, not to destroy them, but to keep their thoughts alive. Hobbes's Leviathan, that great body of reason and power, still moves through our world, now wearing different faces: governments, corporations, networks, laws. Yet its pulse is still human, its logic still Hobbesian. Fear was our teacher, reason our guide, we might say, borrowing the tone of Hobbes himself. From that lesson came civilization. From that civilization came reflection. And from reflection, the wish to find peace beyond fear. But perhaps that is what keeps us awake. The realization that peace itself may always contain a trace of fear, just as light always casts a shadow. It is comforting, in a quiet way, to see the circle not as failure, but as continuity. Hobbes's world was not a dark prophecy. It was the first attempt to describe our shared fragility. The thinkers who followed him, Rousseau, Kant, Marx, Rawls, are all part of the same human effort to reconcile strength with tenderness, power with compassion, reason with empathy. Their dialogue continues not only in books, but in the world around us, in the laws we follow, the choices we make, the trust we extend to one another. Each time we obey a rule, question authority, demand fairness, or seek justice, we are taking part in the same circle. We are still debating Hobbes, still building upon his foundation, still dreaming of a balance that may never come, yet is worth pursuing endlessly. The narrator pauses, letting the thought breathe. In this endless conversation between fear and hope, philosophy finds its calm. It does not promise perfection, only understanding. And in that understanding lies peace, soft and incomplete, like the hush that follows a question too deep for words. So let the circle close, but never end. Let Hobbes's shadow stretch into the present, reshaped by every thinker who dares to challenge it. For as long as humanity fears and dreams, his philosophy will remain, not as a doctrine, but as a mirror in which we see both our frailty and our strength. And as the voice fades, it leaves behind a final reflection that all of philosophy, from Hobbes to now, is one long dialogue between two eternal forces, the fear that binds us and the hope that sets us free. In that quiet balance, the circle of thought continues, slowly, endlessly, beautifully, breathing through time. The circle of thought closes softly, but the echo does not fade. Hobbes's Leviathan, once made of kings, crowns, and laws, now breathes through circuits, screens, and data. Its body has changed, but its pulse remains the same. The fear that once drove men to build thrones now drives them to build networks. The search for safety has not ended. It has only gone digital. The world we inhabit is not so different from Hobbes's. He wrote of covenants and authority, of men surrendering their wild freedom to gain peace. Today, we sign new covenants with every tap and every login, offering our information, our attention, even our silence, all in exchange for a sense of order. The voice lowers, almost a whisper. Every click is a covenant. Hobbes once said that society is an artificial man, a creation built from the collective fear and reason of its citizens. In the 21st century, that artificial body has become literal, an organism of data and code. We built systems to protect us from chaos, and yet we forgot that they too must be feared. Governments monitor borders not with swords, but with satellites. Corporations govern habits not through law, but through algorithms. Our lives unfold in invisible architectures of power, vast, quiet, intricate. The Leviathan has evolved, no longer roaring through commands, but whispering through recommendations. Its voice is the soft hum of your phone at night, the flicker of a notification that seems harmless, the calm glow of a screen that never sleeps. Thomas Hobbes could not have imagined this new kind of sovereignty, but he would have understood it perfectly. In his time, he warned that the condition of man is a condition of war of everyone against everyone. Today, that war is waged in subtler ways, through information, influence, and control. Nations guard not only their borders, but their bandwidth. Citizens defend not only their homes, but their data. Fear has not disappeared. It has migrated into code. The modern social contract is written in terms and conditions we seldom read. We accept them not out of trust, but out of fatigue. Just as men once accepted kings to avoid chaos, we now accept surveillance to avoid disorder. The logic remains Hobbesian. Peace at any cost. Order, even if invisible. Safety, even if purchased with freedom. The narrator's voice slows, gentle but deliberate. We built systems to protect us from chaos, and forgot they too must be feared. Every structure of power, no matter how efficient, carries the shadow of the Leviathan, the same temptation to grow beyond its purpose. Hobbes's insight was not that authority is evil, but that it is eternal. It changes its shape, but never its need. The Leviathan is not the state alone. It is any system in which humans seek refuge from uncertainty. Artificial intelligence, social networks, surveillance capitalism. Each is born from the same desire Hobbes described: to control the unpredictable, to make the future safe. Yet, as in Hobbes's time, control comes with a price. The boundaries of privacy blur, the sense of autonomy thins, and soon the covenant feels one-sided again. We obey for comfort. We comply for convenience. The freedom we trade seems small until it is gone. In this digital age, fear no longer needs a face. It hides in algorithms that learn our desires faster than we do. It speaks in patterns of data that shape our perceptions before we are aware of them. The sword of Leviathan has become invisible, but its authority remains absolute. Still, this is not a prophecy of despair. Hobbes never asked us to reject power, only to recognize it, to name it, to understand its necessity and its danger. His realism, often mistaken for cynicism, was in fact an invitation to awaken. The obligation of subjects to the sovereign, he wrote, lasts as long as the power by which he is able to protect them. That statement, written in the 17th century, could be a warning for the digital 21st. Power endures only as long as it protects, not manipulates. Perhaps that is what it means to live under the modern Leviathan. To exist within systems we both depend on and question. To know that protection and control are made of the same fabric. To remain aware that even peace can become a form of obedience if we stop asking who holds the key. The narrator breathes softly, the tone almost meditative. There is something strangely peaceful in acknowledging this truth. The Leviathan is no longer a monster to be feared, but a mirror reflecting the world we have built. A world woven from fear, trust, and reason. We are its architects and its inhabitants. The systems that govern us are extensions of our collective desire for safety, just as Hobbes's Leviathan was an extension of humanity's longing to escape chaos. In this sense, we have never left Hobbes's world. We have only translated it into light and code. The fear that once forged steel now forges data. The power that once ruled through decrees now rules through design. The covenant continues, silent, endless, invisible. Perhaps it is not power we should fear, but forgetfulness. The moment we stop recognizing how deeply our creations resemble their creator, the voice fades into calm. Every law, every system, every screen, they all trace their lineage back to the same idea. Fear made order, reason sustained it, and now technology carries it forward. The Leviathan still breathes, not in flesh or crown, but in the quiet pulse of the modern world. It watches, it protects, it learns. And as long as we seek safety, it will never die. The hum of the digital world never fades. It surrounds us, quiet, steady, omnipresent, like the breathing of something vast. The Leviathan has not vanished. It has simply gone unseen. Its crown is no longer gold, but light. Its throne is no longer stone, but code. In Hobbes' time, power had a face. The Leviathan was embodied in a monarch, a parliament, a sovereign state, visible, tangible, accountable. One could look at the king and say, there is the source of law. One could hear the decrees, feel the taxes, see the army. It was an age when obedience meant bowing before flesh and blood. Now, the sovereign is everywhere and nowhere. It no longer speaks, and yet it knows your desires. It hums in the algorithms that predict what you will love, buy, fear, and vote for. It dwells in the silent intelligence of machines that do not sleep. Every search, every swipe, every pattern of thought becomes part of its nervous system. The new Leviathan is invisible, yet it shapes the visible world. We used to surrender power to kings for safety. Now we surrender it to systems for convenience. We once feared the sword. Now we fear disconnection. The modern covenant is not written in ink, but in data, not enforced by soldiers, but by servers. Each term we accept online, each agree we click without reading, is another quiet act of obedience. The narrator's tone softens, reflective, warm, but faintly haunting. Perhaps Hobbes foresaw this, in spirit, if not in detail. He wrote that human beings, left alone, fall into a war of every man against every man. To escape, we built a sovereign to govern us. But today, that sovereign wears many faces, corporations, networks, governments, all merging into a single organism of power. We have created once again an artificial body greater than ourselves. And yet this new Leviathan has no heartbeat. It learns instead of feels. It predicts instead of rules. It governs not by fear of punishment, but by seduction. The promise of ease, of efficiency, of connection. It does not command you to obey. It makes you want to. The philosopher Shoshana Zuboff once called it surveillance capitalism, a world where our behavior is the raw material of power. We no longer give our obedience through fear, but through habit. The chains have become comfortable, woven of light and habit and attention. We are no longer forced to kneel. We simply lean toward the screen. Still, the logic remains the same. In every age, humans have traded freedom for safety. In Hobbes' 17th century, safety meant protection from war. In ours, it means protection from chaos, the chaos of uncertainty, disconnection, and anonymity. We no longer fear death in the streets, but disappearance in the noise. We want to be seen, to be known, to be recognized, even if it means being watched. It does not speak, yet it knows your desires. The phrase lingers like a quiet warning. The new Leviathan governs without declaring itself. It recommends, suggests, anticipates, a gentle guidance that feels personal but is, in truth, mathematical. Its strength lies in invisibility. The less we notice it, the more it controls. And yet, like Hobbes' original Leviathan, it exists because we willed it to. Hobbes believed the state was a mortal god, born of human consent, created to prevent chaos. In our century, we have built new gods, not of flesh, but of function. Systems that manage our attention, our information, our emotions. We no longer pray to them, but we depend on them just the same. It is easy to think of power as something external, a ruler, a government, a machine. But Hobbes would remind us that the Leviathan is not a tyrant imposed upon humanity. It is humanity itself, organized and amplified. The invisible Leviathan is us, the sum of our cliques, our fears, our collective desire for control. There is a strange comfort in this realization. If power has become invisible, it is because we have invited it into every corner of life. It tracks us not to harm, but to predict. It listens not to judge, but to serve. And yet, the boundary between service and domination is thinner than ever. The modern world feels calm, ordered, safe. But behind that calm lies the same equation Hobbes once described. Safety purchased through submission. The narrator breathes slowly, as though guiding the listener deeper into reflection. Perhaps the lesson is not to reject the new Leviathan, but to recognize it, to see the outlines of its invisible form. Awareness, after all, is the first act of freedom. Hobbes believed that knowledge of power was the beginning of peace. In this age, knowledge of systems may be the beginning of balance. The modern Leviathan does not roar, it whispers. It offers what we most crave: simplicity, clarity, belonging. And in return, it takes what we barely notice: our time, our focus, our inner quiet. It is tempting to believe that we are freer than ever. But Hobbes might smile faintly at that illusion. Freedom without security is chaos. Security without awareness is sleep. The delicate balance between the two is what defines every civilization. In that sense, nothing has changed. The same logic that shaped Hobbes' 17th century monarchy now governs our 21st century networks. The faces are gone, but the form remains. The Leviathan still breathes, unseen, patient, vast, in every code that keeps the world in motion. And in that quiet hum, there is both peace and warning. We are safe now, surrounded by the systems we trust. But perhaps, as Hobbes once wrote, man is not merely governed by fear, he is sustained by it. The modern Leviathan does not rule through fear of death, but through the fear of being left behind. So the story continues, gently and endlessly. Humanity seeking safety in the very things that make it vulnerable. The voice softens further, closing like a sigh. The Leviathan of kings is gone. The Leviathan of code remains. It does not speak, yet it knows your desires. It does not command, yet you follow. It does not punish, yet you obey. And as the world drifts deeper into its quiet order, one truth remains. The gods we build to protect us always find a way to rule us. The hum of the invisible Leviathan fades into stillness, like the sea after a long storm. Its presence is no longer loud or threatening. It does not demand obedience. It inspires it. And perhaps that is the final evolution of power, not to be feared, but to be trusted. Obedience no longer feels like fear. It feels like comfort. In Hobbes' world, fear was raw and open. It was the dread of war, of death, of chaos without end. People surrendered their freedom to escape that terror, to build a wall of order between themselves and the abyss. Today, that wall still stands, but we have grown used to its shadow. What once felt like submission now feels like safety. What once cost freedom now feels like peace. Man's life, Hobbes wrote, is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. That sentence, written nearly 4 centuries ago, still echoes through the quiet of modern life, not as prophecy but as a memory. Humanity has come far from that state of nature, but the instinct he described remains. The need to belong to something larger, something that promises security. We obey not because we are forced to, but because obedience has become the rhythm of survival. The narrator's tone softens, warm, calm, but with a faint trace of melancholy. There is a strange beauty in this calm. Our world is full of systems that protect, predict, and preserve. We live under their watch as one might rest under a blanket, unaware of its weight, only feeling its warmth. Power no longer feels oppressive. It feels natural, inevitable, even kind. The Leviathan has learned to whisper. Technology, governance, economy all form a quiet architecture of control, but it is an architecture built with our consent. Each law, each algorithm, each unspoken rule carries the echo of Hobbes's first covenant. I authorize and give up my right of governing myself to this man or to this assembly of men on this condition, that thou give up thy right to him. In the modern world, that covenant has no signature, but it is renewed with every act of compliance, every login, every purchase, every moment of acceptance. Obedience is no longer enforced through fear of punishment. It is sustained through design, convenience, and routine. We have traded anxiety for automation, uncertainty for predictability. The modern citizen does not bow to the king. He scrolls, clicks, agrees, all gestures of quiet surrender. And yet, in this submission, there is peace. The voice lingers over that word, peace, as if testing its meaning. Peace has always carried 2 faces, one radiant with safety, the other pale with silence. Hobbes saw peace as the highest good, the condition in which life could continue, unthreatened by violence or chaos. But he also knew its cost. To build peace, one must give up the right to disrupt it. To preserve order, one must restrain the impulse to question it. That trade, repeated across generations, becomes the foundation of every civilization. Perhaps that is why our age feels both calm and cold. The noise of conflict has faded, replaced by the soft hum of consensus. We have become so accustomed to peace that we no longer feel the weight of obedience. The boundaries between freedom and control blur into a quiet gray. The narrator pauses, allowing silence to fill the space between thoughts. There is no judgment in this reflection, only recognition. Humanity's story has always been a negotiation between fear and order, between the chaos we flee and the walls we build to contain it. Hobbes simply described that truth with painful clarity. Peace is not born of love or virtue, but of necessity. And as long as that necessity endures, so too will the desire to surrender. The invisible Leviathan, once a phantom of power, now breathes softly through every aspect of life. It does not command armies or raise banners. It simply exists in law, in custom, in technology, in habit. It governs through comfort, not coercion. And comfort, once tasted, is the gentlest prison of all. Still, there is serenity in understanding this, to see the quiet submission for what it is, not an error, but a choice. Humanity has chosen peace, even if it means living beneath the vast stillness of systems we no longer question. Perhaps that is wisdom. Perhaps it is resignation. Perhaps it is both. The voice lowers, almost to a whisper. Perhaps peace has always been another word for surrender. The words linger like a final breath, not cynical, but tender. A recognition of how human beings cope with the vastness of existence. We crave rest more than rebellion, safety more than struggle. And in that craving lies the paradox of progress. Every step toward order carries us a little farther from freedom. Yet within this paradox, there is a kind of grace. The submission Hobbes described is not only political but existential, an acceptance of limits, of mortality, of interdependence. We surrender not only to systems, but to life itself, to the gentle rhythm that carries us from birth to death. The narrator exhales slowly, as if releasing a final thought into the dark. To live under the Leviathan, whether of kings or code, is to live within boundaries. But boundaries can be beautiful. They define space, create stability, allow stillness. And perhaps, in the end, that is all peace truly is, the stillness that follows surrender. The music behind the voice fades into a low, endless hum, like the breath of the Leviathan itself. We are no longer afraid. We are simply quiet. We have learned to rest inside the order we created. And so the voice closes softly. Obedience no longer feels like fear. It feels like comfort. And perhaps peace has always been another word for surrender. The silence that follows submission feels almost sacred. The world hums in quiet rhythm. Cities glowing like constellations. People moving within patterns they did not design but now depend upon. The Leviathan has grown silent, but its breath still lingers in every corner of our existence. Its power no longer needs to roar. It simply is. And in this stillness, we begin to reflect. What have we become beneath the shadow of our own creation? Thomas Hobbes once wrote that fear and I were born twins. Those words, penned centuries ago, were not just confession, but prophecy. Fear has never left humanity. It has merely changed its shape. It was fear that taught us to form tribes, to build walls, to trust reason over instinct. It was fear that made us create the Leviathan, the great artificial being that promised peace in exchange for our freedom. Now, 4 centuries later, we live in the world that fear built. Fear was the architect. Reason was the engineer. Together, they designed the structure we call civilization, strong enough to hold chaos at bay, yet fragile enough to tremble beneath its own weight. The narrator's tone slows, soft and reflective, like the final breaths of a long day. We began as creatures of instinct, desperate, solitary, fragile. We were afraid of death, of pain, of one another. That fear was not weakness. It was awareness. It reminded us of how easily life could vanish. In that vulnerability, reason was born. A light that flickered first in the dark and then grew steady enough to illuminate a path. Hobbes saw what few others dared to name. That reason does not conquer fear. It is born from it. Fear is not the opposite of wisdom, but its beginning. The passions that incline men to peace, he wrote, are fear of death, desire of such things as are necessary to commodious living, and a hope by their industry to obtain them. It was not love nor faith that built order, but fear, disciplined by thought. The voice becomes gentler now, almost like a lullaby. Imagine looking into a mirror. not the one that shows your face, but the one that shows your history. You would see a species forever learning how to tame its own chaos. Every generation has built a new version of the Leviathan. Thrones, empires, laws, machines, systems. Each one promised protection. Each one demanded obedience. Each one, in time, became part of the same long shadow stretching across human history. And yet, within that shadow, there has always been light, the light of understanding. Humanity has learned to live not in fear's grip, but in its reflection. We have learned to transform fear into caution, caution into wisdom, wisdom into law. Still, the question lingers. Have we truly transcended our fear, or merely hidden within its architecture? The voice drifts lower, slower. In every era, people believed they had finally found peace. Yet peace always came with a cost, a surrender of something unseen. The same pattern repeats. We create systems to protect ourselves, and in doing so, we give those systems power over us. It is a cycle older than any nation, deeper than any philosophy. Hobbes simply gave it a name, Leviathan. But perhaps that is not a tragedy. Perhaps it is the rhythm of being human, to build something greater than ourselves, to seek order in the vast uncertainty. This is what it means to be alive. The Leviathan, after all, is not a monster of tyranny. It is a mirror. It reflects what we fear, what we value, and what we are willing to sacrifice. Its shape changes with time, but its essence is constant. The embodiment of our longing for peace in a world that has never stopped trembling. The narrator exhales softly, voice dipping into silence between sentences. It is easy to see fear as an enemy, but in truth, it has always been our oldest companion. It reminds us that we are fragile, but also that we can endure. It pushes us to build, to think, to care. Fear made us human, and reason helped us survive being human. Together, they have carried us through war, empire, revolution, and digital age. Through every moment when the world could have collapsed back into chaos. Now, as we look upon the modern Leviathan, a network of governments, machines, and invisible agreements, we can see the same truth that Hobbes saw in the 1600s. The struggle between fear and peace is not a battle to be won, but a balance to be lived. The voice softens further, almost whispering, so perhaps it is not the Leviathan we should question, but the shadow it casts upon our hearts. Have we learned to live wisely beneath its presence, or do we simply sleep within it? The air feels still, serene, weightless. Fear was the architect. Reason was the engineer. And we, humanity, are the inhabitants of their design. We walk through its halls every day, cities pulsing with order, laws written in the language of logic, lives shaped by systems we trust without seeing. Yet even here, in the stillness of peace, a quiet truth remains. Fear built this world, but love sustains it. Hope softens it, and reason, calm, patient, luminous, keeps it alive. The voice fades like a candle dimming. The last words almost carried on a breath. 4 centuries later, we still live in Hobbes' world, where fear built order and reason keeps it alive. And perhaps that is not a curse, but a kind of grace. For to understand fear is to understand ourselves. To accept order is to find rest. And in that rest, that long, slow exhale of civilization, the Leviathan finally sleeps. The reflection fades into quiet understanding. Humanity has traveled far, from fear to reason, from chaos to structure. The Leviathan now stands not above us, but within us, woven into the rhythm of our daily lives. Its breath is the hum of cities, the murmur of laws, the calm predictability of routine. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a question lingers. Must we destroy what binds us, or simply learn how to live within it? Thomas Hobbes never promised freedom. He promised safety. His vision of peace was not the wild liberty of the natural world, but the gentle stillness of order, a calm that comes not from chaos defeated, but from chaos tamed. He wrote, "Covenants without the sword are but words." Peace in Hobbes' world could only exist when people accepted their limits, when they chose silence over rebellion, stability over passion. Peace has a cost. It is paid not in blood, but in silence. The narrator's voice is slow, warm, and low, like the fading light of dusk. To live within the Leviathan is not to be enslaved. It is to recognize the necessity of boundaries. The walls that protect also confine, but they give shape to the world we inhabit. Every society, every person builds their own version of the Leviathan, a structure of rules, habits, and unspoken agreements that keep life from unraveling. We all live inside such frameworks, whether political or personal. In our modern world, the Leviathan no longer looks like a king or a crown. It exists in the systems that hold us, in the schedules we follow, in the quiet rituals that make our days predictable. To resist it entirely would be to fall back into chaos. To accept it is to find peace. Not a loud, heroic peace, but the kind that hums softly beneath the noise of living. Hobbes believed that fear taught us obedience, but reason taught us acceptance. In this final movement of his philosophy, we arrive not at submission, but at awareness. The Leviathan is not an external tyrant. It is a reflection of ourselves, our need for safety, our craving for order, our quiet longing to belong. The voice pauses, letting the listener breathe. Perhaps this too is how peace begins in our personal lives, not by escaping structure, but by breathing within it. We long for freedom, yet we also long for the steady rhythm that gives freedom meaning. We resist rules, but we depend on them to know where we stand. Just as society requires a Leviathan to survive, the mind requires a quiet center, a space of stillness where the noise of fear fades into trust. The condition of man, Hobbes wrote, is a condition of war of everyone against everyone. That war still echoes, not on battlefields, but within the mind. The constant struggle between desire and restraint, fear and reason, chaos and calm. Acceptance does not end this war. It transforms it. It turns conflict into coexistence. The voice lowers further, gentle, meditative. Imagine standing inside the great body of order you helped create. Around you, everything is moving. Laws, systems, expectations, time. But within you, there is quiet. You realize that the Leviathan doesn't oppress you. It holds you, like gravity holding a planet in orbit. You do not need to break free to be free. You only need to move consciously within the pull. This is the hidden grace in Hobbes' vision. The recognition that peace is not the absence of control, but the presence of understanding. Every boundary, every rule, every shared silence is a sign of trust. Humanity built the Leviathan because it feared destruction. But to live beneath it and to accept it is to mature beyond fear, to find wisdom in what once frightened us. The music beneath the narration fades to a slower, softer rhythm. Acceptance, then, is not defeat. It is the quiet art of balance. We cannot escape the systems that shape us, but we can inhabit them gently. We can choose to breathe rather than resist, to rest rather than revolt. This is the philosophy of peace, not to overthrow the Leviathan, but to dwell within it with open eyes and a still heart. The narrator pauses again, almost whispering now. Perhaps true freedom does not lie outside the walls of order, but within them, in the ability to find peace even while bound. The Leviathan is not the end of the human story. It is the mirror that shows us how to live with our own nature. Peace has a cost, the voice repeats softly. It is paid, not in blood, but in silence. The silence here is not submission, but serenity, the calm that follows understanding. It is the silence of acceptance, of letting the world be what it is, and oneself be part of it. Hobbes' message, often mistaken for darkness, ends in light. His Leviathan, born from fear, is not a monster, but a guardian, the structure that allows life to unfold without constant dread. To live within it is not to lose your soul, but to find the stillness where the mind can rest. The narrator's tone drifts like a slow exhale. In this moment, imagine your own life, the rules you follow, the promises you keep, the invisible systems that hold your days together. Perhaps you have fought them. Perhaps you have feared them. But tonight, let them soften. Let their structure cradle you. Every order, no matter how vast, begins with a single choice: the choice to trust. Acceptance does not erase chaos. It simply stops fighting it. It lets the waves roll without drowning. It lets the noise fade without needing silence. And so, beneath the Leviathan, beneath the weight of all that humanity has built, you find not oppression, but peace. The music resolves into a single note, like breath meeting stillness. To live within the order is to live within yourself. To accept the world is to stop demanding that it be different. And in that moment, peace ceases to be an idea. It becomes a home. Peace has a cost. It is paid not in blood, but in silence. The quiet of acceptance lingers, soft as candlelight fading through a still room. The voice slows, gentle and measured, like the final breath of a long reflection. The great machine of order, the Leviathan, hums quietly beneath all things. Its breath fills the night, steady, patient, eternal. You can almost feel it, that rhythm of human creation, the pulse of reason woven into the silence of peace. Now, as the echoes of thought begin to settle, you can let go. Not in defiance, not in defeat, but in trust. Hobbes once wrote, "The obligation of subjects to the sovereign lasts as long and no longer than the power lasteth by which he is able to protect them." Yet tonight, there is no ruler, no law, no sword, only the awareness that protection and peace have become one. The Leviathan is no longer a monarch of fear. It has become the quiet order inside every breath you take. The narrator's voice lowers, intimate, as if speaking directly to the listener's heartbeat. It has been a long journey, from fear to reason, from chaos to covenant, from the roar of power to this moment of calm. Every philosopher after Hobbes searched for what he could not name, a peace that would not require surrender. Yet perhaps he understood something eternal, that the world itself will always move between stillness and storm, between safety and freedom. To live wisely is not to escape this tension, but to rest within it. Let your thoughts slow now. Let your mind unclench. You do not need to solve the contradictions of life tonight. You do not need to rebuild the world. You have already built enough. You have thought enough. You have feared enough. The music beneath the words dissolves into soft tones, slow piano notes, like raindrops falling on distant glass. Imagine yourself beneath a vast body, not of flesh, not of steel, but of quiet order. The Leviathan stretches beyond sight, yet you feel no weight. Its presence is not crushing, but protective. It breathes with you. It holds you the way the sea holds a ship. Not to restrain it, but to keep it from drifting into oblivion. You are safe, even within its shadow. The world you created, with your fear, your reason, your longing for peace, continues to move gently around you. It does not demand anything of you now. It only asks that you rest. Do not fear the order you created. It breathes through you. The voice becomes almost a whisper, dissolving into warmth. There is a stillness that comes after understanding, a moment where even the mind grows tired of its own search. This is where philosophy meets sleep. Hobbes called it the motion of the mind, the endless process of thinking, reacting, desiring. But tonight, that motion can rest. The war of every man against every man has ended for you, at least for now. The Leviathan watches quietly, and the world holds its breath. Perhaps peace, in the end, was never meant to be a conquest, but a return, a coming home to what has always been constant within you. The rhythm of breath, the quiet pulse of being alive. The music fades almost completely, leaving only the whisper of air and heartbeat. In this silence, there are no contracts to sign, no systems to maintain. The order of the world does not ask you to perform, only to exist. The fears that once built your walls now sleep beside you, softened into memory. The Leviathan, that vast symbol of control and civilization, is not above you anymore. It is part of you. It is the calm that lives within your structure, the quiet architecture of trust that keeps your heart steady. Every generation, every soul must make peace with its own Leviathan. For some, it is the state. For others, it is the voice of reason, the structure of life, or the habits that hold their days together, whatever form it takes. Its purpose remains the same: to protect, to sustain, to offer stillness in a restless world. So now, as your eyes grow heavy, let that stillness return. Let the mind unclench from its need to control, to explain, to analyze. Let thought dissolve into rhythm. Breath, silence, breath. You have traveled through centuries of philosophy tonight, from the storm of human nature to the calm of understanding. You have seen fear become reason, reason become order, and order become peace. That peace does not live outside of you. It lives within you, quiet, steady, breathing. The voice now blends almost completely with the music. Now let your thoughts rest beneath the great body of order. You are safe, even within its shadow. The Leviathan, the symbol of all that is structured and strong, no longer looms above, but rests beneath you, holding you steady like the floor of the sea. Its heartbeat is your own. Its calm is the silence between your breaths. Do not fear the order you created. It breathes through you. You are part of its calm. The final pause feels infinite, as if the world itself were exhaling. Good night, child of peace. Sleep beneath the Leviathan. Sleep beneath the quiet rhythm of all that has ever been tamed by thought, softened by fear, and kept alive by reason. The screen fades to black. Only the sound remains, one long, slow breath of the world itself, before it too disappears into silence. The world that fear built has grown quiet now. Its walls no longer tower over us. They surround us softly, like the horizon around the sea. We have walked through Hobbes' vision, from the storm of human nature to the calm of order, from the roar of survival to the whisper of understanding. And somewhere along that path, we learn that peace is not the opposite of fear, but its echo, a gentler rhythm born from what once terrified us. Fear built the first shelters, reason built the cities, and now, in this stillness, both rest together, like the tide and the moon, each needing the other to move. You do not need to escape the Leviathan. You only need to rest within it. Its shadow is not a prison, but a home, a quiet space where the chaos of the world fades and only the steady pulse of existence remains. Let your thoughts slow. Let the noise of the day dissolve. You have traveled far, through power, through order, through reflection. And now there is nothing left to prove. Peace does not demand victory. It asks only for silence. So breathe gently. Let the great body of order hold you for a while. Do not fear the calm. It is the sound of life continuing. Good night, child of peace.